Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. Okay, well, Michael Klubock, thank you so much for joining me. We'll talk about how we came to meet, where you are right now. So I'm in an office in Hong Kong, and you are in...
I am in an office in my home in Los Angeles.
Very nice. And we met because our mutual sort of acquaintance, friend, connection, Doug Woodring, who was on the podcast, put together this important event or recording. And he asked me to kind of moderate it. And you're one of the guest speakers, specifically because of the work you've been doing around marine, beach, ocean conservation. And we're going to totally get into it. So first of all, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here.
So let's just dive in. The first photo, it says me and my boat. So I'll just describe it. I love doing this because it's always nice to get little snapshots of people's lives, to perv into your life. This is a slightly younger you in the photo. What year was this image made?
I would say that's somewhere in the late 80s, 89 maybe.
Okay. What's the beach?
That's in Malibu. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Wow. Famous Malibu. Okay, so the photograph is somebody is making the image. You're standing behind sort of a pleasure sailboat called a Hobie Cat, yeah?
Oh, yeah, Hobie 16. Yeah.
Hobie, okay. I know nothing about sailing.
16 feet, and it's a Hobie Cat. It's a little catamaran.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's it. Okay. Why is it called Hobie? Is the Hobie's the name of the company, or Hobie is...
Hobie is the man. Hobie Alter is the person who was a Southern California person here who made surfboards, and then he took his surfboard expertise and created the Hobie Cat, the Hobie 16, and so there's a lot of his awareness built into the hull, of surfboards and sailing through waves. So this was really built to be a off the beach catamaran that would, break through the surf and fly with the dolphins.
So it's a beautiful sunny day. It looks like it's probably around high noon or close to it. You're standing behind this. So you have the yellow. It's like the 70s yellow with the red and the black, and so you're standing behind the boat. You're holding up a child, and next to that is another person in a blue T-shirt. And behind you are these beautiful arid hills and this beautiful beach. And so why don't you talk about, okay, so I say to you, pick 3 or 4 photographs that kind of we'll use to frame the conversation. So why this one? Beyond the fact that it's like such a bright, uplifting image of the beach.
When I was a kid, I brought up in New England. I was brought up in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is north of Boston and right on the water. And the community was right on the water. So there was lots of beaches. There was boating. There was water skiing. And summers at Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard. So it's very much a community that's close to the water. And I loved it and very much. And I actually, as I got older and moved to New York City, after about 6 or 7 years there, I went off to Club Med and I taught sailing. And I got myself back into, being involved with sailing again. And then moved out to L.A. in 78 and just, got, caught up in living and working in Los Angeles. And the boating fell by the wayside. But I found myself just getting in the car though and going up the coast to Malibu, and there was a coffee shop up there, and I just loved driving up the coast. And I was there was a time in the 80s there I was appraising real estate. So I was taking a picture of the backyard, someone's backyard, and there was an old Hobie Cat there, and I went, oh, it was just sort of like this little it was like a message from the heavens
Mm.
There's the Hobie Cat,
Mm.
this old Hobie Cat. And it just made me think, I'm working so hard here and working through the weekends, and I'm out of touch with this thing that I love. And so because I was driving up the coast in Malibu, I noticed that there was a sailing club up there in Malibu. It's called the Malibu Yacht Club. And there was a bunch of Hobie Cats on the beach in Malibu. And I walked across the street, I said, "Hi, this is really cool. I'd like to join." And kind of went through the process. And then I bought a boat.
Oh, wicked.
I bought it, and I bought that boat, the one that
Ah.
you see that, and plunked it down on the beach and started, really. I had done some sailing in Los Angeles before, but it was more down at the marina, and there's lots of airplanes going over, and it's very, very crowded, and it didn't have a sense of joy and freedom that I was looking for. And when I got on these Hobie Cats, it was just flying through the surf and flying across the waves, and literally with the dolphins right next to you, and
Oh, wow.
learning how to handle them. So there was a couple of years there, and we would camp out on the beach. So we would get there on a Saturday, and then we'd sail Saturday. We'd camp out, all of us, and then sail again the next day. And I look at it as my stepping back into the environment.
Okay.
I mean, quite literally, I was.
Yeah.
I was stepping back, into this ocean and appreciating it. And it was while I was up there that I got involved in some beach cleanups.
Okay.
And so the boat. So when I give you the boat, it's a symbol of my love of the sailing, and feeling pretty good about the skills that are necessary to handle one of these high performance boats. And it reignited my love again for the ocean. And then now I'm older and I'm looking around and I'm seeing trash and hooking up with organizations that are doing beach cleanups. And so it was the beginning of my stepping back into the environment, and also stepping in and doing something about it. So that would have
Right.
been like about 1990.
Wow.
91.
So you had mentioned that roughly you had originally kind of started with beach cleanups.
Uh-huh.
How long ago were the original beach cleanups that you participated in?
Well, then 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so from 90 until now, right? Which is, I think, 68 years. My math is shit.
68 years.
I don't know. Okay. But
Wait. 30.
let's not get lost in the details.
31.
Okay,
31. No.
Yeah. So I would imagine that there are more people, there's more garbage, there's more plastic, there's more whatever. But being in California, it's a pretty ideal place compared to other places in the world. So, but in terms of what you've seen, in terms of the impact on the beaches, how have beach cleanups changed?
Well, I mean, in how it's done, or what's found, or the amount. I mean, there's a couple little pathways there. I mean, beach cleanup is a beach cleanup. You go, you take your bag, and you pick up the trash. And I think what has shown up over the years is there's just more and more and more, trash.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the education of where it comes from. There's more education. I mean, that's the core of my program, is educating kids to the fact that, when it rains, if there's trash in their neighborhood, when it rains, it gets carried down the storm drains to the ocean. So the kids get the connection, even if they're 10 or 15 miles from the ocean, they get, how that connection.
I want to skip forward again a little bit, because I know we're going to talk about this later, because it's hard to, but it's just, there was this one factoid that came up during our videotaped conversation that blew me away, in terms of how many students have you reached through Kids Ocean Day?
Yeah. I'd say that I think the last time I looked, the program is over 700,000. And
That's just nuts.
I would say, well, now that you're asking me this, wait a minute, because
Yeah, when you said that, when that came up, that's just it says a lot about what you're like. It says a lot
yeah,
about what the event is like,
yeah,
and it says a lot about maybe for what kids or adults are willing to receive, because for those numbers to happen,
right,
it's a two-way street. Like,
right,
people need to be interested, and so
right,
700,000 kids, that
right,
says something immense about. Yeah, but
right.
go ahead, you were going to say
Well,
something.
when I total here in my database since I've been doing this, I see uh, almost 2,000 schools we've
Wow.
gone to. And the program is in four or five other cities. And of course, as you know, we brought the program to Hong Kong with Doug. And so I see here that the total of what we've done in Los Angeles, and then what the program has done with other nonprofits, that we've trained in other parts of California, I see here 761,345.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then actually that had made it to the beach was so that's all the kids that have heard our presentation.
Mm.
And then 166,000 have actually made it to the beach.
Wow.
And what you say is quite sharp. That it is a two-way street. I never would have been able to do this if I wasn't invited back again. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you walk into a school and you are, it's not working.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah.
they're not going to pick up the phone the next year. When I call them the next year, I says, "Hey, do you want me to come again?" They're going, "Yeah, no,
Exactly.
yeah."
Exactly.
And it got to a point where, I mean, every year, I mean, we've been actually at the beach 27 times, 27 consecutive times up until 2019, and then of course COVID hit, so we've been out of the game for a couple of years, like us all. I mean,
Wow.
we've been off of public gatherings. But my outreach, I sent an email to the schools that have participated, or I make a phone call. And so I call the principal and I goes, "Hi, Michael Klubock here." "Oh, hi, how are you?" I goes, "So are we going to play again? Are we
Yeah.
going to do it again?"
Yeah.
"Yeah." And then, there's no formal agreement and
Sure.
written in paper. You're talking to a person who I came to the school last year and I did a great presentation. They were happy with it. The kids learned. The teachers were turned on to it. It was good material. I give them a free bus. And so
Mm-hmm.
I basically, I would go, "Hi, Michael here. So are you coming to the beach?
That's
You're going to
amazing.
do it again?" And they go, "Yeah."
But it's exactly. But you see, here's the thing. It's kind of like what emerges. So for example, how I ended up being connected with you guys was through shark rescue, and my sort of theory was, I'm going to start this, and if nobody cares and nobody responds, and that's the feedback that I'm getting from the outside world, that, well, maybe this isn't the right time, or maybe it's not even the right, maybe it's not a good cause, right?
Right.
But when people, I go out with a message, and then when people come back with such a strong response, that tells me, oh, wait a second, I have to keep doing this. So similarly for you, that the momentum has maintained. California is part of the mythology of California, is very much the connection to the water. So one thing I have to ask about, going back to the photograph, because it begs to be asked. So in the photograph, it pretty much there's you, a girl, and another person standing there, leaning on the boat, and sitting before you. This question it begs to be asked, is a very bright red bucket. Do you remember what's in that bucket?
Uh, where's the bucket?
It's actually on the canvas of the boat, of the Hobie Cat. Maybe you're using it to clean the boat because it looks spotless. I don't know. It's just my curiosity, really. Just like, oh, what's inside the red bucket?
Does it look like it's tied to the boat?
I can't really tell. Maybe, yeah.
Well, I can't.
That's an unfair question.
Yeah, it could have been just something that was on the boat because we were cleaning. Because I don't think I would have used it as a sea anchor or anything. Because that's one thing that where I might have had it, and then you have it tied to the boat, and then you throw it out, and that it holds the
Got
boat
it.
to the wind. But
Got it.
I don't think I don't think I had that.
Okay. Well, let me just talk about the photograph again. So, some more. So, the sky is like totally blue, no
Right,
clouds.
right,
And then what cuts the skyline is how the hills, which are quite arid, not too high, but
right,
the hills kind of greenish, but quite arid, kind of roll towards the water.
right.
And the color of the hills is like this green that's kind of faded because the image maybe is
Uh-huh.
faded, or is that just the color of the printing? And then the aridness of the earth in the
Yeah,
hillside and the color of the beach are all together.
yeah,
Then there's your boat, which is dark black, bright, kind of sort of banana
yeah,
yellow-ish, and then you've
yeah.
got the reds and everything. So just as a visual image, it's one that I could see you coming back to, because it of course evokes a time and the place. So do you remember who was making the image? Who's actually the photographer?
No, no.
Okay.
I just remember. I remember the fellow is Tom Maslow. He's a friend of mine,
Hmm.
and the girl, her name was Allie Bayless, and
Okay.
she was the daughter of a friend of mine. And Allie was very attached to me and would follow me all over the place. And
Cute.
very cute kid.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too. It opens up that whole conversation about what we end up doing in our life is sometimes directly connected to what we were exposed to as a kid. So here's this kid at the beach, and as she grew older, there was lots of surfing with her father, and they had they were pretty well off, and it would be diving trips to Fiji and this and that.
Oh
And
wow.
now, of course, she works for NOAA,
Okay.
in Hawaii.
Wow.
I
That's
don't think
great.
I think I think the last time I actually saw her, maybe she was elementary school or something like that. But
Okay.
I did have lunch with her father recently.
That's
Um,
great. I mean, this is a great segue really to the next photograph. What I love about the series that you sent and how I met you and what I hear from how you speak is this love, and you use the word love very openly and warmly for the water and for the ocean. So
mhm.
let's continue, because yeah, I mean, if I can help you share that feeling through the podcast or otherwise, all for it.
Well, it took a while for me to clearly articulate this, and it came this last year where we were working with a branding studio to really come up with our brand and our why.
Mm,
Because it was a little confusing, though it had been written about, but it wasn't clearly spoken about in our outreach. And I remember actually years ago when we first started this, we worked with these other cities, and we would meet to see what the theme would be for the aerial art that we do. Every time there's a Kids Ocean Day, the kids gather together and form a big image on the sand.
mm,
And I was very much, like, we want to tell people the ocean is dirty and don't litter, and kind of pedantic, and
hmm.
educational and angry. And the folks from Northern California, from Humboldt and Northern California, were all like, love, no, it's love. And I would just go, no, no, man, we got to tell people, the ocean is dirty.
Yeah.
And now here I am, finally at the point of like having the aerial art just be hearts, big
Yeah.
hearts
Yeah.
on the beach, because I get that the educational process. I believe the foundation of caring is to fall in love.
Hmm. Okay.
You
Okay.
see, and so I'm still just as much wanting to, keep the beaches and ocean and the earth clean, but realizing it's not like going and getting to people, do not litter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that's angry, and that
Sure.
and so it might be going on in my head. And that's not how you can talk to kids, of course. I realized that in my program that the program was, and this has been kind of the structure of the education, it's a classic teaching model of showing people something they love. So it's the beaches and oceans and the animals. Show them being damaged. Animals are all tangled up in the trash, and give people something to do about it. It's a very classic teaching concept.
Okay.
And so that was always in the education, but it wasn't articulated in what we were about.
Right.
And then that recently just, even though the funniest thing on my website, I always had a thing about this one kid from the very first. He's on the beach and he stepped out there on the beach. He'd never been to the beach before, and he looked out at the ocean, and he says, the beaches are so beautiful. I think I can save the earth. So we always had that on the website, but it wasn't clearly articulated as that's what we were all about totally, until we got to some very talented branding folks who put us through the ringer to kind of get that out of our heads so that we clearly understand that what we're about is empowering kids to save the earth by connecting them to the beaches and ocean, and believe that first moment, that first wow moment of discovery, when they step off the bus and they've never been to the beach before and they go, wow, this is so fantastic. And we believe that moment is a building block. That moment of discovery is the foundation.
Right. So something about you talking, two ideas came over. It popped into my head. Do you know where Tom Waits is from?
Tom Waits, the musician?
Yeah.
No.
Well, one of his songs, the lyric is, she was, I think, 15 or 16 years old and never been to the ocean. Right. And it's just like, oh yeah, and so that just came into my head. And as you're talking, and as you're telling me this about the branding, and I'm a branding guy, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.